This is Suit Up Sports.
Suit Up Sports.
Where opinions are as sharp as a tailored suit. No fluff, no gimmicks, just unfiltered, hard-hitting takes on sports and a whole lot more. It's time to suit up. Now here's your host, DJ the Suit Stout.
Today's Suit Up Sports is brought to you by Neogenics, Charlotte's #1 when it comes to stem cells and regenerative therapy. I'm not saying that because that's what I'm supposed to say. I'm saying that because I've lived it. So is Frank. Nico over at Neogenics is taking care of us. I've had stem cells in my arm. I've had it in my knee. I've had it in my shoulder. You've had it in your back.
Buddy, you ain't lying when you're talking about Neogenics as a life support for us as older guys. Weekend warriors.
Yep.
If you're looking to, kind of replenish your body and get that 30-something filled back, Neogenics is the place for you. I know a lot of Panther players use it. I used it, got my lower back done.
Yep.
And the best thing about them, buddy, is that they will tell you exactly what it is that you need to do. And they might not be able to help you.
And if they can't treat you, they won't treat you.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's any nagging joint pain, shoulder, neck, back, knees, any of those things, they'll treat it. They do stem cells. They do PRP. And like Frank said, they do a lot of athletes from Thomas Davis to Harold Varner Jr. to Matt Doherty. And I can go to Tony Womack, baseball all-star. It works, and they're honest. Like Frank said, some of their competition they'll treat you just to take the money, whether they know it's going to work or not work. These guys are only going to work with you if they know they can help you. 704-727-6551. That's 704-727-6551 or neogenicstemcells.com. You see it on the bottom scroll of our show, neogenicstemcells.com. Tell them DJ and Frank sent you.
Check them out, bud.
Thank you. Suit Up Sports. I'm DJ the Suit Stout, along with 10-year NFL vet Frank Garcia. Frank, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. A little rainy day out there today. Got some nice sleeping weather, and you had to give me a nice little wake-up call. Not wake-up call. I was already awake, but a reminder, as I think I might have gotten dressed in like world record time.
You did make it here quick.
Crap, showered, and shaved in like 15 minutes, and that includes driving time from my house to your house.
You made it quick. Dylan and I were sitting here talking before you got here, and I was like, man, today's a perfect kind of day to just do nothing and stay inside and watch TV. Unfortunately, I've got meetings the rest of the day, but when you're sitting in here and it's raining and it's cold and you're
the windows open,
man.
That just that little drizzle going. It was like that quiet noise.
It's nice. It is. I mean, it's nice for staying inside.
Yeah, it was a lot nicer than it was yesterday at that bloodbath for the Panthers game.
Ooh, man, let's start there, man. Panthers and Bills, biggest game that the Panthers have had at home in quite some time. Everybody was pumped up, excited. We myself, you, Brenton Buckner, Mark Yarbrough broke it down on Friday. All of us thought that or didn't think it would be this. We didn't think the Panthers may necessarily win, but we didn't think that they were going to just get their doors blown off. And let's start with Andy Dalton. Bryce Young doesn't play, which is what we all kind of figured was going to happen. And Dalton steps in, and man, pick six, fumble while they're driving, another fumble that he lost, 2 fumbles, an interception for a pick six, and then at the end of the first half, when they're at least in field goal range, takes a sack instead of throwing it away. Time runs out as they try to attempt a hurry up field goal. Andy Dalton yesterday, and I like Andy Dalton, and he's been a very good quarterback in the NFL, but I don't remember seeing a quarterback performance that bad maybe ever. And that's coming off a game where we played Justin Fields and the Jets, where Justin Fields had a pretty bad performance and to the point he got pulled, but he didn't throw a pick six and he didn't fumble 2 times. Andy Dalton took credit for everything after, he was very accountable as he always is. Said he never gave us a chance to be in the game. And that certainly I think would be the #1 reason they got the doors blown off, but their defense certainly didn't look like the defense that we've been all excited about lately.
The Bills made the Panthers tap out yesterday. Injuries didn't help, but it's a lot easier to get hurt when you're getting your doors blown off. And I think a lot of people refer to that as loser's limp.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this because I don't want to just completely shit on the Panthers and say that they're a terrible team. They were 3-3. They have improved and done a lot of good things. Yeah, now they're
4-4.
Yeah, now they're 4-4. They have improved and done a lot of good things. But there's two different tiers. They're just not in the same class.
Yep.
As you know, so when you look at the way people break down the NFL, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, they were in tier 3 near the bottom of the basement, probably one of the worst teams in the NFL as we started the season. And slowly and gradually, they've improved each and every week, right? The rookies have started to play better. The defense has started to play better. And, a lot of the things that they are doing was starting to click. It's the reason why they had the winning record for the first time in probably 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
What went wrong yesterday? It was just a combination of everything. I mean, it was them playing more talent. The Bills, Josh Allen doing whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. I wasn't sold, and I think I said on Friday, I'm not sold on the Panthers defense yet. I want to see what happens when they play an elite offense, because the teams that they had been beating were okay offenses, but they weren't this. This was the complete offense. They had a quarterback that could run.
I mean, they're a Super Bowl
MVP,
contender.
And they're the likely 1 or 2 in the AFC. They're going to be in the AFC Championship most likely.
Yeah.
Against probably the Chiefs or maybe the Colts. I don't know. I mean, there's another team that's going to surprise somebody that we are not probably talking about that comes out of nowhere. The Colts aren't surprised.
Patriots. They're leading the division. Their division right now.
Yeah, they're leading their division right now. So I think the Bills will take care of business as the cream will rise to the top as we get through the season. But to the Panthers is that they hadn't seen a caliber of team this level yet. And to be at home, a lot of Bills fans there, it was kind of like a perfect storm of, we had an opportunity, we were close in the first half, and then the wheels fell off.
Yeah.
And when the wheels fell off, there was no stopping that snowball. It continued to build and build and build. And, that's just a byproduct of not having the quality of players maybe at all the positions and injuries that factored into that. And, just realizing that, they were a better team.
Yeah. And, listen, Bryce Young, whether we, I was thinking about this earlier. You and I have, as well as Branson and Yarbrough, when we were talking about this Friday, but you and I in particular have talked about the jury still being out on certain things when it comes to the Panthers, right? The jury's still out as to is Canales, the coach that can lead us where we want to go. And there's a lot of things we like about him that make us think yes, and then there's some things that we question about him that's why the jury's still out. The Bryce Young, there's is he the quarterback of the future that can lead us to where we want to go? There's times where we go, yeah, there's a lot of these qualities, and then there's times where there's not these qualities. So the jury's still out. And so I think there's also hurdles that we've talked about this team. They had to win on the road, and they did against the Jets. Their defense,
the who?
Or no doubt, who had a shocking win at Cincinnati yesterday. But they won on the road, right? That was a big deal for them.
They were 1-15 before that with Bryce Young.
Right. So that's a hurdle that they climbed. Now the next hurdle that they have to climb is beating a team like the Bills. And I think you're nailing it when you say that as bad as they played yesterday, it just showed that even though we have gotten better and even though we are deeper now than we've been in years, we still have a ways to go. And I think everyone that follows the Panthers understands that. We were hoping that maybe we stepped up and could handle that competition. But and honestly, in the first quarter and even into the second quarter, the defense did stand. They held them to 2 field goals. They were at least keeping us in the game. But then Andy Dalton with the pick 6 and the fumbles just totally just seemed to take the air out. Cook for Buffalo yesterday, 216 yards rushing. There was at one point, I don't know what the final stat was, but at some point in the second half, he had 112 yards rushing before getting touched, which there's not a defense in the league or a team in the league that's going to win when the running back has over 100 yards before he even gets touched.
He's hitting the safety at full speed. It's going to be tough to tackle anybody at that.
Right. And
level.
so, so when you look at stats like that, and then you did mention the injuries. I mean, look, to add insult to injury, the Panthers lost Christensen, who's been a valuable offensive line piece, especially filling in for some of the other guys that have been hurt. He ruptured his Achilles out for the year. Derek Brown left the game with a knee injury, which we haven't heard.
I think he came back, though.
Yeah, I think he's going to be okay, but banged his knee up.
He looked like he hyperextended it, kind of locked on a little bit, kind of landed awkwardly. When he did it, I said, ooh, that looked like it hurt. And then they took him out, but I do think he came back in the game a little bit later.
Hopefully he's fine. Trevin Wallace out with a concussion, so he'll be in protocol this week. Cade Mays, who's been playing great at center, left with an ankle injury. Again, doesn't seem like it's too serious, but we haven't got the final result on that. And then Tyler Moton with a knee injury, our right tackle and our best offensive lineman. Again, we'll find out more today and tomorrow on these injuries. But you lose 5 starters during the game. Now, a lot of these guys got hurt when the game was already over, right? We were getting our doors blown off.
What you call losers limp.
Well, maybe, and regardless, to see
if they play when they play next week,
I hope they all play next week.
The hurts hurt a lot more when you're getting beat by 35 at home.
Well, I hope they play next week because we're at Green Bay, and we saw what Green Bay did to Pittsburgh last night. Playing in Green Bay, you've played there as a player, is tough enough as it is, and a team that has struggled on the road.
That was a big win for them last night. They're going to have a lot of momentum coming off of a bye week. I mean, they looked really good.
360 yards passing for Jordan Love. So, and we'll talk a whole lot more about that game on Friday. Yeah. But here's what I want to get into with the Panthers that I don't understand, and quite frankly, pisses me off.
Well, let me before we get into the meat and the potatoes of this.
Yeah.
You said something, and let me give you an analogy of where I feel like the Panthers are when it came to stepping up in class. You've ever been in an ice tub?
I have. Hated it.
When the first time you've ever been in the ice tub, how do you get into that ice tub? Slowly. You tip your toe in.
Yep.
You see how you test the water.
It's awful.
And you get in like a piece by a time. Right. But if you go to an ice tub every single day and you're used to being in the ice tub, what happens to you? You just get right in because you're mentally prepared. You're physically prepared to what that's going to feel like. You can go in. The Panthers right now, stepping up in class, right? They've checked the boxes on all the little things, but it takes time to develop culture.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to develop culture, it's going to be a slow process, stepping your toe in, taking your feet in. And then finally, when you get to that critical area, you're like, it's I got to go, right?
Yeah.
It's nuts and all. And you just go for it, right? When you're used to being in those things, it's just you walk in and you don't even second guess it because you're supposed to be there.
Yep.
Canales right now, I think why the jury is still out on him is because it takes time to develop culture. You can see the slow climb and them getting their toes in. They may be into their feet and maybe even to their knee, but they're not ready to just walk right into that. And the way that they showed up and the way that they competed in the first half, but when things started going bad, that's where the tough get.
Well, they're
going.
just not. Yeah, they're not good enough to overcome that many. They were already on their heels.
They had to play perfect football in order to compete with that classification. And then as soon as something went bad, their mindset wasn't there. Let me give you a different example when it comes to college football, where you're going to say, here's where they need to get to. And what this is Buck talked about it with culture and trust and coach and things like that. Brian Kelly, LSU, this last weekend got fired. Why? Because he wasn't relating to his players. When something went bad, what did the team do? They quit, right? Because of why? They didn't trust in Brian. What's the difference here? What's the difference here? Is that they're still learning to trust Canales. I don't know if I don't know if we're there yet. That's why my confidence isn't 100%. When Notre Dame's coach, a national championship, when Marcus Freeman was down 2 touchdowns last year, what did his team do?
Kept fighting.
They fought to the bitter end. Why? Because they trusted and had confidence in him and his staff, and he has ingrained that into their culture. We aren't going to quit until the whistle blows. We are fighting till the bitter end, and every one of those players fought to the bitter end at Notre Dame. When things like this go on, that is what coaches are responsible for. It's not the play calls. It's not the execution of the play calls. It's the culture that exists, right? That's what coaches bring in every level. It's what leaders in business bring. They're responsible for the culture. Do we have a good atmosphere? Do we have a good environment? Are people getting along? That's what their leaders do.
Yeah.
Right. It's not, and they manage and organize. That's right now. Yesterday was a good example of they're not quite ready yet, and that's why I'm not confident yet. I've seen glimpses of hope, but I'm not confident in Canales that he is the guy for this job yet. Because if Ron Rivera was there, if John Fox, and it's not that they haven't got blown out, but they didn't quit. It felt like yesterday the Panthers tapped out. And that's the most disappointing thing for me. They had guys, down the side, just at the end. And I know it looks like they quit because the other team is more talented. And you can't tackle what you can't catch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're bigger, faster, stronger, better coached, all those things, you're used to being in the fire. It's going to look a lot more like that. But yesterday, you could visibly see the Panthers tapping out.
Well, here's what I would say about Canales, number one. First of all, I do think that their process, which you hear him say a lot, we see a lot more of them being on the right road than the wrong road. And yesterday, I do think that even at the beginning, they were fighting and it did get out of control pretty quick. The turnovers by Andy Dalton were killers. And then like you said, it did seem like the air just came out of the team. But here's what I don't understand. And for the life of me, I don't understand this. And people can say loyalty and people can say how much he's getting paid. People can say Canales ain't making the call, which I don't believe. But there's no way in hell that Rico Dowdle, who has been one of the top 3 running backs in the league the last 3 weeks, gets 8 carries in a game. Last week, and he averaged 6.5 carries. He had a 24-yard run. The week before that against the Jets, he had 17 carries. He has got to be the lead dog. This is nothing against Chuba Hubbard. We both like Chuba Hubbard. Chuba's a good running back, but there's a huge difference between the 2 running backs right now. And the fact that Canales is giving Hubbard the ball more, or not even, or just not giving Dowdle 20 to 25 carries. And again, I know you can say yesterday they're down a lot of points, had to pass. Okay, I get some of that. But still, there's no way in hell that Dowdle should not be the lead running back on this team and getting twice as many carries, if not more, than Chuba Hubbard right now, because Dowdle is, and maybe it's the way he fits behind our running game. You would know more about that than I do.
I explained that last week on why he is a better fit for this offense and what they're trying to do than Chuba Hubbard is. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, right? But that's not a Canales call today or during the game. If I have a play caller, right, and he's supposed to be calling the plays, and I know that
he is the play caller,
but there are people in there that go and tell personnel, make personnel decisions and things of that nature. Chuba is more of a scat back kind of, down side to side guy that's going to be looking for cuts and line. This offensive line isn't built that way. This line is built for double teams, coming down the hill, knocking. They're a power running team, right? Run downhill, have a good read, one cut, go.
Yep.
Hit that 10, hit that 5, use your receivers to block in space, and maybe you get a 15, 20, 25, or break a tackle if you have a big back, right? But you need to be coming downhill, just like what Cook did. Cook is more of a slasher, side to side, but you also have an offense that's opened up.
Mm-hmm.
This offense that the Panthers play, the way that they play it, is not an opened up offense. You can't be a spread and try to run spread plays if you don't have spread players.
Yep.
Right? You don't have spread players. You don't have spread line. You don't have spread receivers. You have a big physical receiving group with tall guys for length that you can use a tight end for play action with, and you're going to hammer guys with running backs that are coming downhill with a line built for size and movement, not for speed and quickness.
And that's what drives me even crazier, is because that the fans see that. Scott Fowler from the Charlotte Observer wrote an article this morning about how it's enough of this rotation crap. Give the ball to Dowdle. And again, it's not about Hubbard. Everybody, we know I'll be honest.
It's not about Chuba whatsoever.
Right. This is just about Dowdle fits what we're doing better and has been elite. Top 3 in the league when they're giving him the ball, and to stop giving him the ball the past. And again, I know last week he had 17 carries, but yesterday he had 8. Chuba had 12. There's no excuse for that. And I don't give a damn. Look, yesterday we were talking about this when we were with a bunch of buddies watching the game, and some people said it's him being loyal to Chuba. Wrong. Because guess what? And you've said this 100 times about an NFL locker room, or any locker room for that matter. The rest of the players, you got to worry about them as well, right? Your job is to make sure that you're putting the team in the best position. You don't think the offensive line and the defense sits there and goes, dude, what are we doing? Dowdle just ran a 24-yard run, and now he's not in there for 2 like what the, and
critical situations.
Yeah, and right. the team knows it. The locker room knows it. And to Dowdle's credit, he's saying all the right things. And look, he's a free agent after the season. I saw a lot of people today were saying, trade Chuba, extend Dowdle. You got James Brooks, the rookie we drafted last year, hopefully going to be back next year off 2 knees, so you can't count on that. You got Etienne, who you took in the 4th round this year. which I would be totally fine with, because that solves the problem. If he feels the need that he's got to rotate these guys, and don't get me wrong, I'm fine with Chuba getting 5 to 8 carries to spell Dowdle, but Dowdle is your workhorse. And when he has run the ball efficiently, he's been elite. And guess what that did for the offense? Bryce didn't have to throw the ball 30, 40 times. He threw it 24, 23 times. And when it opened up, when they're having to come in and, like Buck and you talked about Friday, when they're trying to load up the box to stop the run, it opens up things for Ted. And Ted had a big game yesterday, 7 catches, 99 yards. But this Dowdle thing, to me, forget. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here now and say, "Oh, the Panthers suck and Knueppel sucks." I don't think any of that. I think that we just ran into a much better team, and we saw where we are now. That was a good litmus test of where we are.
You're giving me another reason to say, what I'm saying is, with the trust with, Knueppel. Right. That's another check in my side.
Well, that's why I'm agreeing with you on.
Yeah. What have I said? The hardest thing to do as a NFL coach is to do what? Coach talent.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mike Martz said that with the greatest show on turf. My hardest job is to coach talent, because I have to make sure what? Everybody's happy.
Yep.
Everybody's touching the ball. We don't get injured. That I'm managing all of these things with really on eggshells, because if something goes wrong in practice, they're going to blame me, or we're going to fall, right? If Kurt Warner gets hurt, Mark Bulger comes in and wins 6 games in a row, and then Kurt Warner gets healthy, what are you going to have to do?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to figure out how to do what's best for the team in the long run. And unfortunately, in the NFL, there's financial decisions that are being made, right? And sometimes those decisions aren't coming from necessarily the head coach. That may be coming from above. And I'm not sure that's the case in this situation, because I'm not in the locker room. But when you're paying a guy X amount of dollars to be the guy that's making the money and making the calls, you better figure out how to use him.
Well, it has to be one or two things, right? If we just use logic and take feelings out of it, Knueppel is a smart football coach, right? We know, we don't know if he's a great head coach yet, right? We don't know that, but we do know he's a smart football coach, right? He's been everywhere he's coached under Pete Carroll and all these other guys say he's a really smart guy. He has to see the difference between Dowdle and Chuba.
He also has to, but
let me finish, because I'm getting to your point. So the only reason that Dowdle would not be getting 20 to 25 carries a game and Chuba's got 4 more carries than him yesterday would be either the fact of loyalty to Chuba or the fact they're paying him, right? I mean, and he's going to be or both. And that's the only two reasons that I can think of.
I mean,
I don't think Tepper has anything to do with it. I don't think Dan Morgan has anything to do with it.
Not to this degree. Not yet.
I mean, this is all.
If it was a quarterback and you had 2 guys, it might be a different story, right? But this is a player with playing time out there. So I agree with that.
I think this is a total Knueppel thing, and I think that
he's trying to pat everybody on the back and make sure everybody's happy.
Well, let me just tell you this.
He's had the YMCA.
And he's had 2 games to see Chuba running and not giving Dowdle 20, 25 carries. We go to Green Bay. We just talked about it. Green Bay is a very good team, one of the best teams in the NFL. Their defense is legit. They've got 2 of the best pass rushers in football, and Gary, who had 2 sacks last night, Micah Parsons, who had a sack last night. Green Bay is going to be a tough place to play. The one thing that you can do to try to offset that pass rush is what? Run the football. Dowdle has got to get the ball 20 to 25 times in that game for us to have a chance. Hopefully Bryce will be back and we'll see what happens. And again, we'll talk about that game a lot more Friday, but this Dowdle thing is ridiculous.
Well, let me
it's
say
insane.
This.
To me, it's insane.
The old adage, the old saying in the NFL, and this has been on for the beginning of time since I've been playing, which is 100 years ago. You're not going to lose your job to injury, right? That's what the saying is. If you get injured, a legitimate injury, you go sit on the bench and the next guy comes in, he's playing well, you're always going to get your shot to come back in there and prove that you deserve to be in there, right? You're not going to lose your job to injury. That's what coaches want to tell and preach to players.
Mm-hmm.
The reality of it is that if this guy is a offensive lineman, let's say a center.
Well, let's use an example.
Let's use the center, for example.
Yep. You're going right where I was going.
If he's not a high-paid guy and the center's not a high-paid guy, it's an open job, right? But because it's a high-profile job, in a high-profile position where you're going to be the main running back, where you're getting the beef of the carries and the bulk of the load, right? There's a much more noticeable change, right? And we're seeing it right here in front of our very own eyes that it's obvious that one guy is playing well and harder or better, or he fits the system better than what the other guy does.
Yep.
Sometimes it takes a coach a game or two to figure those things out.
Well, he's had 2 games, and that should be more than enough.
Don't disagree.
And you brought up the center and the injury. You don't lose your job to injury. Well, when Corbett,
I lost my job to injury for a couple of games until I got my job back.
Well, Corbett,
I earned it back.
Austin Corbett was our starting center. Yep. He got hurt. Cade Mays comes in and plays
his ass off.
And guess what? When Corbett gets off the injured list, Mays kept his job. Mm-hmm. So he's already set a precedence for keeping the best players out there. One thing I will get
in positions that aren't noticeable.
No doubt.
It's easier to do that. It's
noticeable, but you're right. It's not a high paid guy. It's not and Chuba is one of our highest paid. So
that's right.
But I will say this, one thing I'll give Canales credit for is that he has been a coach who seems to not be stubborn and not be against making changes that are better for the team. We've seen this year
has he though?
No, he has, and I could give you examples where he hasn't. Bryce Young in preseason not playing. Well, that's a whole different ballgame.
No, those are the same things. Those are choices. Well, those are choices the coach makes.
But during the season, I will say,
so we can't give him credit for being smart on some things and then call him stupid.
You can. I mean, look, not everyone's going to make.
What does that come down to? He's not a great coach.
Not yet. I agree with you.
He's making mistakes here.
But that's where I'm getting to is that I'm giving him some rope because I do think he's learning as he's a young coach too. So he's learning with a young team. He's learning as he goes. And I think that he has shown preseason is a good example against my argument. But during this season anyway, he has adapted on a lot of occasions where, for instance, when Derek Brown went to him and said, start putting me in on 3rd down so I can rush the passer, guess what he did? He put him in. When he wanted to get the young guys in there, when we were, Scorton and Umanila and all these guys, after 2 or 3 games, they started playing a lot. So I do give him enough credit where I don't think remember John Fox, it would drive us crazy. Mm-hmm. Like John Fox was just going to do it his way regardless. Ron Rivera, we saw adapt a little bit when his job was on the line. He adapted a lot, but then he fell back into where he was. But with Canales, I do think that he has shown that he will adapt. So I'm going to just make a prediction right now, and we'll talk more Friday. I will be shocked. Matter of fact, if I could bet
for how – okay.
If I could bet right now, $100,000 that Dowdle gets not only more carries than Chuba next week, but a lot more carries and starts the game, by the way, because he hadn't even been starting.
In Green Bay?
In Green Bay. I will be very surprised if he doesn't. I'll be very disappointed if
what does that look like for you? Let's say let's say they're in a game, because we have to dictate the type of game this is. Let's say they're in the game until the 3rd quarter. It's a 10-7 game, 14-17 game, something where you can still run. Who's going to get the lion's share of the carries? And what does that look like?
It means Dowdle, number 5, needs to be in the backfield every play unless he's not going to happen. I think it's
not going to happen. It has to happen. I'll bet you $100,000 not going to happen.
I think Chuba.
That's not going to happen.
I think Chuba should be a 5 to 8 carry guy.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
I'll be surprised.
Be surprised. I'm telling you right now, that is not going to happen.
Well, I'll be surprised.
Each of them. What I'll be surprised if Dowdle gets more carries than Chuba.
You'll even be surprised if he gets more carries?
I will be surprised. I think they're going to get equal amount of carries.
Nah, I don't think so.
And if you're 1 or 2, yes, maybe I won't be. But if it's significant amount of carries more, I will be very shocked.
Yeah, I think that there's no way in hell that Dowdle doesn't get 20-plus carries next week, which means Chuba will be in that 5 to 8 to 9.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, I'll be shocked.
Not going to happen. And I'm telling you it's not going to happen.
And if it doesn't happen.
I'm telling you it's not going to happen.
We'll make a bet on that Friday. But if it doesn't happen, in my opinion, Panthers have no shot, and already a tough place to play, and already they're I think it's 7.5.
That's not happening.
Yeah, well, if it doesn't happen,
that's not going to happen.
Then I'm going to be real disappointed in Canales. And
why would you be? What makes you think that's going to happen?
Because
I'm just giving you the example. I'm giving you the example of the preseason. That's not who he is.
I'm not talking preseason.
But that's not who he is.
Preseason doesn't matter.
It does matter.
And during the season,
it does matter.
I'm not saying that. I agreed with you that Bryce should have played more in the preseason.
No, he should have played the entire preseason. And he didn't play with one series.
one or two series this preseason.
After
I don't think he played at all the year before that.
He didn't play the year before. And then what happened at the beginning of the season? They came out and they stunk it up for 5 games.
But same
thing happened this year.
But during the season, he has shown that he's willing to adapt. And I just gave you some examples of it. So
what were the examples that you gave?
That he, when Derek Brown came to him and said, play me on third downs, he played him. When the young players getting in a lot earlier than what most people thought they were going to. Knaus was the one that
they didn't have any choice. They don't have any other pass rush.
Well, they did have a choice. They could have kept Wadham in there. They could have kept some of these other guys that they have on the team. That they could have signed. They could have brought in Clowney, who's playing for the Cowboys now. They could have done a lot of things. He wanted to put the young guys in because he knows that they're not winning the Super Bowl.
I'm not giving them the same credit you are.
Well, I guess I'm not necessarily giving them credit. I guess what I'm doing is just giving them some rope because I have seen some things about him I like, and I do think he has shown the ability to adapt during the season. But to me, this is as easy as me saying, looking out the window right now and going, it's raining.
Buddy, I understand
this should
what
be
you're
that
saying.
easy of a choice.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree. But the funny thing is, you don't think I'm agreeing with what you're seeing.
No, you agree with what I see. You just don't think
I know as a head coach, for you to take away one player's reps that's getting all the money and reduce him to a backup is not going to happen.
Well, it
didn't happen with Jonathan Stewart. It didn't happen with D'Angelo Williams. They found a way.
Yeah, but they found a way, and both guys were very productive. Chuba's averaging 2 yards a carry.
So your job as a coach is to find a way,
but
put them in a better situation.
But you just said, and if you call this out, and I see it, and fans see it, I guarantee you, Canal sees that for the style that they're playing.
Which gives them the best chance to win. Gives them the best chance to win.
Dowdle's the guy.
Is a downhill running back, right? That's going to run between the tackles. He's going to be fast. He's going to be explosive. He's going to make one cut, and he's going to be up the field. That is not Chuba. They will still try to get Chuba the ball and work him into the office. I'm not saying he's getting benched.
I'm just saying he's going to get 5 to 9 carries. No, there's no way he beats Dowdle.
I don't know what the number of carries is going to be.
This week, Dowdle had 8 and Hubbard had 12.
Okay, so
last week Dowdle had 17 and I think Hubbard had 15.
It's going to be the same.
No way.
I don't know if Chuba's going to get more, but it might be more 50-50.
Nah, okay. I think Dowdle.
Okay.
Again,
I'm willing to bet whatever.
And by the way, if I'm wrong, then on Monday, my confidence level in Canales, win or lose, is going to be a lot less if I'm wrong.
What a win or lose? What if they win? So here's what you're not.
No, hold on. Let me finish. If we win. And it's because Chuba had a great game. Let's say Chuba has a great game. Then I'm going to sit back. I'm going to go.
He knows more than what he's doing than you do.
I'm going to. Well, yeah, which he does 100%.
And what we do is what we see versus what he's seen in practice every day with matchups and things of that nature. Maybe he knows more than what we do because it's his team and he has a better handle on those things.
But what we've seen the last 2 weeks, and again, Chuba's average. It isn't like Chuba's averaging 4.5 yards a carry, which is the average in the NFL. He's averaging 2.2.
That game,
he's first game back for the season. That was second game back. But if you add his stats for the season, he's not even averaging 3 yards a carry. Where the average in the NFL is 4.5. Dowdle's up around 6.5. And so,
in fact, Dowdle in the last 3 or 4 games was leading the NFL with 634 yards. Which led the entire NFL.
James Cook yesterday against the Panthers.
300. But
he beat Dowdle at the time, had the most in the NFL in the game, and then Cook beat it, right? So, Greg Olson yesterday, who does a great job on TV, I think it was late in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
He said this as well. He was like, I just got to be honest with you. I don't understand what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Dowdle should be getting the ball every time.
Not every time.
But the majority. He needs to be the workhorse.
He should be the workhorse, and Chuba should be
the complimentary change of pace, whatever.
It's the fire and the smoke, whatever you want to call it, right? It's what double trouble. It was the thunder and the ice. There's the speed back and there's a hammer back, right?
Now it's thunder and blunder.
Most running teams have that 1-2 punch, really good one. The Eagles last year had a 1-2 punch. The Steelers have a 1-2 punch. There's a fast guy, and then there's a hammer guy. There's a guy that's going to get you the 4 or 5, the hard, tough yards. He's going to have great balance. He's going to run through tackles. He's going to push piles. And then there's another guy that's going to be able to run around the tackles and get through places and things like that.
But the Panthers are lucky enough to have a guy in Dowdle who does both. He has breakaway speed. He runs hard as hell. He knocks people over. He doesn't get tackled by the first guy.
He runs angry.
So you got it in one running back. I'm not saying Hubbard's not going to get carries. He should, right? But I'm just saying that Dowdle has got to be the workhorse. And we also have talked about this before.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I know everything you're saying.
I get it.
I'm not.
You just don't think it's going to happen.
I'm not confident that they are going to do that. And in fact, I would be willing to bet, as much as you're saying that it's as obvious as we can make it seem, right? Where it should be 3-to-1 carries, right?
Yep, no doubt.
That's the number, the ratio.
And Dowdle should start. And I know a lot of guys go, it doesn't matter who starts in the NFL, it's who has the most carries, blah, blah. Guess what? To me, if you're the defense of the Green Bay Packers, and you see Chuba lined up back there, you know what type of play's coming. Correct. When Dowdle's back there, you go, oh man, we better be ready. This dude's going to try to knock our teeth out. We got to buckle up,
and here comes the power. Here comes the thunder.
So hopefully, and again, by our show Friday, I will come up with a bet, and I'll show it to you before the show to see if you agree with it, if it's fair, on carries and whatever else I come up with. We're going to bet on that, and we'll figure out what the bet is.
And here's where I don't think you're giving enough. I don't know if the credit's not the right word, but enough, it's a decision, towards this decision. It's a hard decision for a head coach, right? Because how do you manage these two players? And you see, the obvious one's playing better. When Kurt Warner and Mark Bulger, had the same situation as players, who did we want? We wanted the guy who was winning games.
Right.
Didn't care about the ego and all those things. We want to win. Right, we love Kurt. It's not that we don't love Kurt, but we wanted to win. Mark Bulger was our hot hand. Guess what happened? Soon as Kurt comes back, who starts?
Kurt.
I mean, I know that is
different.
It's a little different feel, but it's really not. It shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be any different.
I agree with you.
Right? It should be the exact same. Who gives you the best chance to win, regardless of what position. Isn't that the way it should be in a perfect world?
I totally agree with you.
But this isn't a perfect world. And there's decisions that you have to try to make and appease people to be happy, right? Because feelings count.
Well,
as little as we want them to count, they count.
No doubt.
Because egos are involved, right? And egos are involved. And if I'm going to just bench Chuba, what's going to happen to him?
Well, I don't mean bench him. I just mean
if I'm going to reduce him, which is just like benching to a player. Right?
Chuba doesn't seem
what's it going to do to your ego?
Well,
what's it going to do to you
I'll tell you
as a player?
Here's what it would do to me. And I think Chuba has shown in the 3 years he's been here, 3-4 years he's been here, that he's a great locker room guy. He's a great teammate. I don't think he's going to be there are certain players that I agree with you that would go into a hole and get ticked off. Usually we see wide receivers, the divas.
You would hope it would bring him to the level of, I better start doing my damn job and running harder and making more plays.
So when I do get in,
I proved myself. This guy in front of me is balling. I have to match that.
Correct.
Right? That's what you would hope would happen.
And I think Chuba will handle that fine. And again, I think he will. He seems to be now. It's going to hurt a little bit. I'm not saying that.
There's no way for us to tell that.
Well,
we can hope.
We better find out.
You can answer for yourself, right? And those things for you as an individual, right? Until. When you're faced with these issues and the ego and the money and all those other things, you don't know how that's going to handle. You don't know what that's going to do to somebody's ego or personality.
I agree with you, but I'll tell you this much. For the Panthers to continue to have a successful year this year, we better find out. We better find out if Chuba can handle not getting as many carries, because that's the only way this offense is going to be effective. They were extremely effective when Dowdle was the horse.
Yep.
They have been extremely ineffective when he hasn't been. It's an easy black and white.
You know what the funny thing? And you know what the funny thing is? You know what the funny thing is right now? We're talking more about the running back position for this offense than we are the quarterback, because the quarterback didn't play, and we haven't mentioned that one time other than a little quick snippet in the beginning to say that the Red Rocket lost us the game, right? We're not saying if Bryce Young was in there, and that's the problem with this team and this offense. The quarterback is not the bell cow. He's not. And you're just proving it right now.
Well,
he's not.
But don't you agree that if Bryce played yesterday, that this game would have been a little bit different?
Nope.
They don't lose 40-9.
Doesn't change. Doesn't change.
Listen, the one thing that we talk about Bryce is his ball security. In the last in their 3-game winning streak,
they weren't playing the Buffalo Bills,
no doubt. But in the 3-game winning streak, when they did beat the Falcons, and they did beat the Dolphins, who beat the Falcons' butt yesterday, he protected the ball. He made accurate throws when he needed to.
We were playing the Jets.
But, okay, hold on.
We were playing the Falcons.
The Falcons, who are a pretty good team.
And
the Falcons beat the Bills, who whooped our ass yesterday.
Okay. They weren't beating them yesterday.
We weren't playing. We were playing decent teams. I mean, the Falcons are in the playoff hunt. Dolphins are not a good team, but they just whooped the Falcons yesterday. Whooped them. So all I'm saying is, there's no question if Bryce would have played yesterday, the offense would have been a little more effective. Now,
so what did you learn by telling me that those teams all beat each other?
I didn't learn anything. What I'm telling you is you keep trying to deflate what Bryce has done by saying that he didn't play the Bills.
No, I'm not deflating what Bryce has done. I'm just saying that we're not talking about it. Isn't it interesting that we're sitting here talking about the running back being the reason why, which I've said is the reason why.
I'm not saying it's
versus a quarterback that I think is just another guy back there that can hand the ball off and try to make good decisions.
Bryce has been extremely efficient in the last.
But we haven't brought him up one time as the reason why this game wasn't close.
Well, because we're breaking down a game that he didn't play in, and we're breaking down a game that Chuba didn't really play in either. And the guy that replaced him had 3 turnovers that resulted in a lot of points and completely.
And you think Bryce would have changed all that?
I think Bryce has been protecting the ball a lot better lately. I think the offense would have played better yesterday with Bryce. 100%.
12 points.
Well, let's put it this way: if you take away, and you can't do this, but if you say, okay.
Oh, no, you can. That's what people do.
Okay, so if Bryce.
That's what you project to do.
If Bryce doesn't throw a pick six that Dalton threw right to the defensive end or linebacker, if he doesn't throw a pick six, we're going down to score. If he doesn't fumble when we were going down to at least kick a field goal, there's another point. Both of those turnovers turned into points.
But he has done those things before. The ball,
he has, but he hasn't been doing it lately.
He hasn't been playing the Buffalo Bills.
You can't seriously think that the offense would not have played better yesterday if Bryce was quarterback.
Not much.
Oh, I think you're crazy.
I think you're crazy. Then why aren't we talking about that?
Because he didn't play. We're talking about the guys that played that stuck.
We're sitting
Bryce
here.
Bryce also didn't have anything to do with them running for 245 yards.
You are a Bryce lover.
I'm not a Bryce lover.
That he is
I'm not a Bryce lover.
Take us to the Super Bowl.
Didn't say that.
And if he would have played yesterday, you'd literally think we had a chance to win that game.
I think if he would have played yesterday, the game would have been closer than 40-9.
The game would have changed one iota.
I think it would have changed a lot. If Andy Dalton doesn't throw a pick six, fumble twice, there's 3 turnovers. If he throws the ball away at the end of the half, that's a field goal. So that's 4 chances to score that were taken away. I don't think Bryce does that.
You don't think Bryce turns the ball over? You don't think he has little hands?
If you look at the last 3 or 4 games,
you don't think he has little hands?
Well, Andy Dalton's 6'5" and has huge hands. What do you do?
In the last 3 or 4 games, what else have we done? We give him the ball to Dowdle, right?
We didn't against the Jets.
So,
I mean,
we didn't give the ball.
Chuba ran just, I think he had 2 less carries. So no, I mean, against the Jets defense, by the way, which is good. But my point is, there's no way, and I'm not saying Bryce is taking. I just actually said before we even got into the game that to me, there's a few things the jury's still out on. Canales is one of them. Bryce is still one of them. So no, I'm not sure that Bryce is the guy. But I tell you this, Bryce to me is a much better quarterback than Andy Dalton. He's a much more efficient quarterback than Andy Dalton. He's a much more elusive quarterback than Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton can't move. I mean, he can't go 2 feet left or right.
I don't disagree with the elusive part.
So I think that if Bryce would have played yesterday, that this game would have been different. Do I think the Panthers would have won? No.
What would the score? Guesstimate what the score might have been.
Maybe we lose 24-16.
Oh, they only scored 24?
Well, I mean, take away a pick six, that knocks down to 33. Right? Take away the fumble that he had when we were going. I mean, you could do the math and just it would have been a closer game. Maybe we lose by 10. We don't lose 40-9. And guess what? Now Bryce, if he comes back this week, which everything seems to lead to that he will.
I don't think the game changes much.
Yeah, I'm not saying we win. I think it's definitely a better game, and I think that we would have seen some.
Instead of being 40, I'll give you 37.
No, well, you got to take away the pick six.
Okay, I'll give you 36-9.
I think 27-17 maybe.
Anyway, I mean,
my point is this. The reason we're not talking about Bryce as much in this game is because he didn't play. And the fact of the matter is the guys that did play got their doors blown off. Dalton was horrendous. Dowdle gets 8 freaking carries, and our defense regressed dramatically. I mean,
why?
They are playing that. But what we just said, we talk about hurdles. Now the next hurdle that they have to show is that they can beat a team that is in that upper tier. We haven't done it, right? We haven't, and it's a progress.
We had done we were the number 1 and number 3 defense in the NFL of stopping the run for the last 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The Panthers were number 1. The Bills were number 3 within stopping the run, yards per game. Right? Before the game, that was the stat that they used. Or it may,
Well, the Bills
it may have been on the radio.
Yeah, Bills were last against the rush, but
running the football. Running the football.
Run football, yeah.
Running the football, stopping the run.
Yep.
Right. We were 1-3, right? What changed? The defenses they were
the
playing.
competition.
The competition.
No
changed,
question.
Right?
No question.
The Panthers were at home and had been playing extremely well defending the run. Right? The last three, they were undefeated. They're undefeated at home. The defense isn't the team that we expect them, that we think that they are.
Well, I think that if you look at
I think they've gotten better.
Well, they've
the improved.
No one was sitting here saying that this is a Super Bowl caliber defense. This team's gonna make the playoffs. All we're saying is we're seeing progress, and we have. I mean, last year they had the worst defense in history of NFL. Now they're, I think, 14th.
They're not as bad.
Well, they're 14th. I mean, you've seen progress, right? So, and that's all you can ask for from a team that picks in the top 5 every day.
Are they a good defense, or were they helped and benefited because the offense had and controlled the clock and the ball the last 4 games?
I think it's a mixture of that, and I also think it is a mixture of the competition. You know, the defense against Justin Fields and the Jets without their best receiver,
pretty easy to stop.
Correct. So I think it's
load the box. I think load the box. Don't let him beat you with his leg.
Although we see Jets offense yesterday go nuts against Cincinnati, who
Cincinnati's.
Their defense stinks. But my point is that
if you want to talk about defense quitting, Cincinnati without their best player has quit.
Yeah. Well, the Jets put it on them yesterday.
When you pay your offense all the money, that's what you're going to be left with on the defensive side.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens this week. Number 1, with the injuries. Hopefully we get all those guys back. Number 2, what happens to Bryce, and then number 3, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the running back situation against Green Bay, because to me it's an easy no-brain situation, but we'll see. Let's talk a little bit about college football, because the other NFL games yesterday, there were some blowouts. The awful injury to Cam Scatterbo, which is horrible. That kid had been an unbelievable player so far.
I know. I mean, we want to talk about the games specifically, but this at least needs to be mentioned in the NFL, right? And I know I don't know if you want to talk about it now or you want to talk about it later, but the gambling, the reffing, the things of that nature, and the lack of consistency with refs, right? What we're seeing right now happen in the NFL is something that it's their worst nightmare. The NFL's worst nightmare is to think that games are fixed. That is the easiest, fastest way to get fans from pushing away, is to think that I'm watching a wrestling match where the scores and the game is predetermined. When referees are impacting games and making decisions that are impacting my pockets if I'm betting and gambling on the game. Now, you can say don't gamble on the game and the product, but the product, it's affecting the product of the game. When officiating is becoming the focal point and not the plays and the players, there's a problem with what's going on. And Vegas had something to do with that, with everything that just took place with the NBA and sports betting and gambling. People are going to automatically assume that that's happening in the NFL. The calls, and one game in particular that we watched,
the Giants-Philly game was egregious.
3 egregious calls. I can think back to other plays that might have been worse, which was the Saints when their defender came and hit the Rams player, or the Rams player hit the Saints player before he had the ball, hit him out of bounds. It was not only was it a pass interference, it was targeting.
Yeah.
He targeted the player, didn't get called. He pass interfered, didn't get called. And it was just wipe your hands and no calls made, right? When you have something like that take place, and then something like yesterday take place with, with the tush push, and going out there and the ball clearly being fumbled clearly, the pass interference, and then the Scatterbo tackle. I mean, the definition of a fall down tackle, drop tackle is exactly what that would be. That's going to be training film for next year, and they didn't call it. If you're not allowed to review these bad refereeing decisions, or if things are taking place of that nature where you're questioning the legitimacy of these games, there is going to be a problem with people wanting to go watch these games.
The officiating in football, college and pro, this year has been the worst I've ever seen. It's been egregious. We saw a head official in the SEC from the Auburn Alabama game 2 weeks ago get suspended indefinitely. Permanently for how bad he was.
I don't remember what game it was. There was a decision in one of the games. It might have been the Gamecocks, Bama. I'm not sure which one it was. It might have been another one. I can't remember if it was NFL. It was a refereeing decision where they went to look to see if it was a scoring play, and then found out that something else, another infraction happened, which you're not allowed to.
It was the Tampa Bay game last week.
It was the Tampa Monday night.
Yep.
It was the Monday night game where they came back and they found something else, and they made the decision based on something that they weren't supposed to challenge. You're not allowed to challenge that. So you can't look for one thing and find another thing. It's never been done. And it happened on that Monday night game, and or Thursday night game. It was a Thursday night game. It happened Thursday night, and we sat there and nobody said anything about it. I was like, where is this going to be all
Baker
over the
Mayfield
news?
actually talked about it in his press conference after. He's like, what was that? Like, how the hell are we
You can't challenge one thing and then find out there's another infraction or think there's another infraction and change the outcome of a game.
There's so much technology in the world right now that there's no excuse to be missing these calls. And if you can challenge this and that, but you can't challenge this and that's ridiculous. You should be able to challenge anything if you're going to do it.
100% agree
and people go, well, it'll slow the game down. Well, you know what? I'd rather them get it right. I mean, guess what? Drink another beer while you're waiting for it makes no sense. And the officiating has been horrible.
Or get better officiating.
Well, Pat McAfee had an idea. Bruce Arians was on his show, and they were talking about the officiating and how bad it's been. This was last week. And I thought McAfee had a great idea. And he said that when you finish the NFL has a school, for lack of a better word, for players who want to get into broadcasting.
Yeah.
And you have to apply for it.
Yeah.
McAfee said he got turned down every time he applied for it, which is funny that now he's doing better than all of them. But McAfee said that, you can apply for it. And if you get in, they do training. And he goes, if you watch any of these athletes on TV, the majority of them have been through that school. Why not? And the reason he brought this up is because in the Dallas Cowboy game last week, if you remember, they're playing Seattle, and Seattle's playing. I forget who they're playing. Maybe the Saints, whoever it was. Nick Jigba, the receiver for Seattle, helmet comes off out of bounds. They're fighting, and the referee runs over and shields him. Well, that referee
was the next player
playing for the Cowboys, Bill Parcells. And what McAfee said was, the NFL should have the same program for refereeing that they do for broadcasting. If a player wants to get into being a referee,
remember Matt Millen?
Yep.
He was a field judge. He was the back judge that sat there in the middle like he was playing middle linebacker. And he did a great job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He did a great job. The players respected him.
Correct.
They looked at him.
You have a better idea.
Is he going to get everything right? No. Is he going to miss some holding calls? Yes. There's going to be some calls that he misses. Nobody's perfect, right? There's always going to be the human element.
Yep.
But there's never one thing where I said, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. This guy looks like he's been eating donuts. It's like police officers that look so fat that if they were to get in a pursuit, there's no way they'd have a heart attack before they caught the criminal.
Trust me, they'll still find you. I've been through that one. They'll still get you. But
you outran the fat cop?
Well, I outran him until he found me about 30 minutes later and made sure he told me, I got you now.
I got you now.
But yeah, I mean, and it's a great idea. Why not players that may want to get into officiating, come up with a school that they can go to, because players, like you said, they're going to know where to position. They're going to see what the offense is lining up on and go, okay, I need to be watching for this. Or they're going to have so much more knowledge than what the average person will have. And there's some great refs. I'm not saying it, but there's some poor ones now. So why not get some ex-players into that, put them through a school, put them through training, and give them a shot? Because to me, that's an easy option to at least try. And how many ex-players would probably be interested in that? I would think a lot, because what do ex-players, a lot of them, when you're still involved in the game, you're still involved on game day, you're still in front of all these people, you're still having interaction with the team. I mean, to me, I think it's a great idea. I don't know if the NFL will listen to Pat McAfee or do anything with it, but to me, it was a great idea.
I mean, what's the protocol now? You work your way up from the ranks, right? You start off in high school, right? And not everybody's goal is to be a referee in the NFL.
Right.
The ones that have made it, they usually have pretty successful careers doing something else. And they're afforded to be able to take some time out because it's
not a full-time job.
It's not a full-time job.
Which it should be as well.
Well, that to me is the solution, or the answer to this solution, right? The answer to this problem is make this a full-time job, right? Make these guys go through schools, classify them, qualify them, rank them, and then put them accordingly.
Yep. I mean, I think there's a mixture of things that need to happen, but I think that's definitely part of the solution. But we'll see. I don't know if the NFL, especially, and this is how this conversation started, was with all the gambling and all these, weird kind of things that happen during the game that fans are going, oh, that's bullcrap. This game's fixed.
Well, it's the conspiracy theories that we all come up with, saying this game is rigged, this game is fixed, this must be fixed. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs, in regular season, have the most holding calls for an offensive line. In the postseason, they have 0.
Right.
But they go from the most to 0. It's not possible.
Yep.
Right. If they're holding in the regular season and they're playing better competition in the postseason, what makes us think that they're not going to hold in the postseason?
Yep. So especially now with all the gambling stuff going on, the players getting arrested in the NBA, the leagues, all the leagues are going to have to do something. And I think the NFL right now and college football, the officiating has been horrible. Let's talk a little college football real quick. There were some great games this weekend. I know some of the ones that myself, you, Buck, and Yarbrough talked about Friday that we're excited to see. Ole Miss at Oklahoma. That ended up being a great game. Lane Kiffin, like him or not, the dude can flat out coach, and his offense, I love watching his offense play, because every time their quarterback drops back, you feel like he's got two options that are probably going to be wide open. Oklahoma has a really good defense, but they stepped up in competition this week, and Ole Miss goes in there and gets a big victory. And
how much does Lane Kiffin, because he's an interesting coach to me, and I think I could consider him one of the best coaches in college football today.
I think he is.
And I don't disagree with that. I think his offensive mind and the way he schemes things and the way he prepares his players fits perfectly with their personalities. And he's had some experience at all levels, at all programs, USC, under Saban. He's been taught from the best. And everywhere he's gone, he's had success, except for the Tennessee, where he snuck out the middle of the night. How much of that legacy is haunting him today from being considered one of the greatest coaches in college football? Because I still think he is. He's one of those coaches I would give $100 million to.
Well, I think that he's starting to get his credit, and I also think that he's going to be the head coach of Florida next year, because right now he's definitely the leader in the clubhouse for that job if he wants it. There's definitely going to be, like you said, $100 million paycheck for him at the end of the day to go there. Nick Saban, I thought, had a really interesting, or maybe it was Spurrier, said, look, what he's doing at Ole Miss is great, but Ole Miss, when they're really good like they are now, is still not close to Florida as far as the talent. And the fan support and the money and all these things. And they're right.
The history, the tradition, the winning, the culture, all those things.
And so I'll be very surprised if he doesn't.
That's a step up.
Yeah. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't end up at Florida. And I would be very surprised if he doesn't win a lot at Florida.
I mean, are they considered one of the blue blood programs in college football?
I think so.
Florida?
I mean, I think so.
I think there's still better jobs available, or will be better jobs. Texas is one of them.
Well, we'll see Texas, we'll see if that job becomes available. But right now, Florida's the cream of the crop that's available.
That's available right now today.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Ohio State's one of them. Alabama's one of them. I guess you got to throw Penn State, Michigan, the blue bloods of college football.
And he'll go to Florida over Penn
Georgia.
State in a heartbeat. He fits that whole SEC. He's been in the SEC, USC, and he's winning in the
Notre
SEC.
Dame.
Yep.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with him. Missouri, Vandy. Another game that we're excited about. Missouri has a great defense. Vandy is just
that was a good sloppy game.
It was a good sloppy game. Is a slobber knocker. Missouri's quarterback goes out with a leg injury, and the true freshman comes in and just plays lights out.
Sure did.
Man, I mean, they didn't miss a beat with that kid.
Kept him in the game.
But Pavea and Vandy just fight to the end, and they pull out.
That's another coach I love to death.
Me too.
What he's doing at Vanderbilt. When he's getting guys that are going to be doctors and lawyers to play football and walking out of there with degrees and competing against the Alabamas, the Georgias, and winning these close games against really good competition. Missouri's a good football team.
They are.
The SEC has definitely, at all levels, it has stepped their game up even more than what we had thought them to be in years past. I mean, I still think it's the strongest conference in college football. I would say the Big Ten's right up there as the next best, or maybe the best. And what they've done with the nationals, Ohio State's right now kind of leading the way for what they've done. Notre Dame, Michigan, those three teams, and now Indiana. You throw Indiana in the mix, and it's a completely. I mean, they have put themselves back in that, and Oregon adding to that conference as well. So, there's about 4 or 5 teams in the Big Ten, but every team in the SEC is capable.
And I thought Vandy's coach after the game, because I'm with you, I'm very high on them, and they had game day day there, and the crowd was crazy. And then they win the game. First time being ranked in the top 10. They moved up to 9 this week. But the coach after the game, when they were interviewing him, he said, "Look, the crowd was great. The game was great. But I just want you to hear me on this. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
Like we're just getting started. So wait about 3 years from now."
He's excited.
Yeah. And it made me think to myself, this guy may not leave.
Yeah. He's excited.
Because he's going to get offers and he may not leave. Maybe he stays at Vandy. Texas A&M LSU. You talked about Brian Kelly getting canned at the beginning of the show. Everybody knew he was on the hot seat. And this was one of the damnedest things I've ever seen. I thought Texas A&M was going to beat him, and you did too. I think every one of us actually took Texas A&M.
What did we learn from that game? Well, Brian Kelly's not a relatable coach to the players at LSU.
Quit on him.
The players quit on him.
One of their best linebackers the day after the game quit and said he's going to probably enter the portal and get out of there. But here's what I thought was crazy. Everyone knows LSU fans are great and they're nuts and they're completely behind their team. And when things started to unfold, and we talked about if it happened, we thought the LSU would quit, and they did. But what shocked me was at the end of the third quarter, the stadium was full of Texas A&M fans. The LSU fans were gone. The Texas A&M fans took over the student section from LSU. After the game was over, the whole stadium was A&M. And the sideline reporter even asked Elko, he said, "Would you have ever imagined that not only you get your first big win here,
and LSU had a night game,
that this stadium now is all Texas A&M fans?"
What do you think Brian Kelly got fired for?
Oh, that
was the number one thing,
no doubt.
When the person making the calls, the president of the university, is looking up, and they have pride in that university with football in particular. When he's looking up and seeing his stands at a night game for LSU, and everybody in the world's watching. Two of the better teams in college football playing, and we just got overtaken by Texas A&M.
Who's by the way, a damn good football
Texas
team.
Texas A&M may be the best team in the country.
Yeah, they may be.
They are explosive and fast on offense, and they get after guys. They've always played great defense, but on offense, that quarterback and their receivers are frisbee catching dogs and lightning.
And Concepcion, the kid that's from Charlotte who went to NC State, transferred over to Texas A&M with a huge punt return for a touchdown. I mean, you're right. They got speed everywhere, but it was crazy for me. And there's no doubt in my mind, losing that game was one of the last nails in the coffin. But the way that the fans just said, enough of this,
100%.
We're out. They had no choice. And by the way, LSU might be a better job than Florida. And Lane Kiffin would crush it there. His personality fits LSU. He would kill it there. So maybe they would overtake Florida now. I still think that Florida, for Lane Kiffin, just it sounds right. You know, he's recruited down there. Those Cajuns would love Lane Kiffin.
I know. They would love him. And you know what?
And the recruits. I mean, he'd get recruits at Florida too. But my point is,
for the right price,
his personality in LSU, that would be a hell of a fun watch.
You talk about some. I mean, look at the last time that LSU was in maybe the best team in college football history. Right, with Chase and Jefferson and Joe Burrow and the running back and all the offensive linemen and the amount of people they put in the NFL, not that are just playing, that have potential Hall of Fame talent on that team. Imagine what a guy like Lane Kiffin would do with that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and I didn't think about that at the beginning, but to me, that is the fit. Like if he's at LSU,
Dylan, I just hit that camera.
Yeah, we have a little
technical difficulty.
Frank's getting excited now about thinking about Lane Kiffin at LSU. One more game that I really want to talk about in college that you just brought up is Indiana, and we both love Cignetti, their head coach. They just re-signed him to a $95 million deal. The dude tells it like it is. He got swag. He talks crap. You know, he coached under Saban for a long. I mean, he was actually on the same coaching staff with Saban.
You know where he was before that?
It was a small James Madison.
You know where he was from. Before that?
Elon.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's done it the hard way. He's come up, but he's a great coach.
He was the offensive coordinator, head coach at Elon. Then he went to James Madison, and then he went to.
And all they keep doing is winning. Now,
everywhere he's gone, you got to Google him.
Yeah, well, I mean, James Madison, he what 12-1 his last season.
I think. Google him.
So here's the thing about it: Indiana undefeated. There's not a game on their schedule the rest of the way that they won't be favored in. I mean, you're looking at Purdue and Rutgers
and Penn State.
Yeah, but Penn State, you know, their quarterback's out for the year.
Still Penn State.
It is. That'll be a tough one, maybe. They have Maryland this week at Maryland, and Maryland has a great freshman quarterback. But you know, in Indiana, the thing I like about him is. He said this on the interview. He goes, we're playing these teams that we're favored over, which means we better beat them by 40 or 50. Goes back to my point, you know, with, you know, where you are as a coach and having the ear of your team,
right? It doesn't matter about what they do. When you have confidence and swagger, you go out there every game, and it doesn't matter who you're playing. What was so great about Nick Saban when he was in his prime at whatever college it was, they weren't losing to underdogs. They may have lost to a really good competitive team, right? But they weren't losing to the teams they were supposed to beat, right? They were
They were wearing them out.
They did what they do well better than everybody else, and they had a standard of excellence that wasn't going to be questioned or denied. Right. That's the way they prepared. It's not about them. It's about us. And that's what Cignetti, I'm guaranteeing, is preaching to his players. When we go out there and playing whoever it is, and we're supposed to win by that, if Vegas says we're going to win by 20, we better win by 21 or else we've lost the game. And look, we're playing against these spreads.
He said at halftime of that game, they asked him, they were up 35 at halftime. And he goes, well, we're up 35 and we get the ball first, so we better go down and score. I mean, he's that coach. Why did you go for one at the end of the game? Because they couldn't go for two. Right. Exactly. He wants to squash your throat down, and so they're fun to watch. We'll see when they step up against, they're going to have to probably play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, which will be fun to watch. But I'm all in. I think their quarterback's one of the top 2 in the country. Their defense is really good, which is surprising at Indiana to get those kind of guys there, and they're believe.
Let me ask you: you've seen them, you've watched them a lot. I watched them a couple of times. I haven't seen them as much as I've seen these other teams. Ohio State has the best defense in college football.
I agree.
All right, I would have thought that maybe there would have been some other teams that were close. A&M might be one of them. Florida, I thought, was really good on defense. There's some other really good defenses out there, but Ohio State is the cream of the crop. And offensively, they're solid. They got players. They're the number 1 team in the country for a reason.
Ohio State's quarterback's in the Heisman race now. He's playing great. He's got Jeremiah Smith, the best receiver in football.
They have a national championship coach. They're right where they should be. Yep. Nobody's taking anything away from Ohio State.
Yep.
Between Texas A&M, Indiana, Alabama, and Georgia, and you can throw Oregon in there if you want, but I think those are the teams right now. Do we have to? Because I think if we threw Georgia Tech in there, I don't know if they're on the same caliber with athletes.
Georgia Tech reminds me a little bit of Indiana last year, where they're really good, but they don't have the men up front that these other teams have. But man, I love watching that guy coach, and I love watching that quarterback.
Nothing against their program, and they are exceeding expectations exponentially, right? But I don't think they're in the same classification as those 6-7 teams.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Who is the best team right now in college football? Because I don't think Indiana is.
No, I think Ohio State right now,
or even the top 4. Could Indiana beat Georgia? Yes. Could they do it in a series of 10 games? How many are they going to win?
I would still put them behind those other 4 teams.
I would too.
But I also wouldn't bet them. I think they've got arguably the best quarterback in the country. They've got a great offense, great defense. But you're right. I mean, against Ohio State, to me, against Georgia, that's a different ballgame. Alabama, I think they could beat. I mean, Alabama's not blowing out anybody.
Now, let me ask you the same question with Texas A&M, because we've sit there and we've seen A&M do what they've done, and we've seen the speed of their offense. Do they have the coaching? Do they have the guys up front?
They got a great coach.
Because I think as speed goes, they're faster than any team in the country, including Ohio State. Offensively, they are the fastest team.
They are fast.
That make your eyes jump in all different positions: running back, quarterback, wide. I mean, quarterback can take the ball 90 yards any given time.
Yep.
Right? They're explosive. That's the better way to say it. They're the most explosive team in college football.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think it's close.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. I think Texas A&M right now has just as good of a chance to win the national championship as anybody. Mm-hmm. And again, we're going to find out when we get at the end of the season in some of these championship games where we see some of these teams play the first big team they've played all year. I mean, Ohio State hasn't played anybody. They played Texas the first game of the year.
Washington.
I think Oregon is way overrated.
Have they played Oregon yet? Or they played Washington at Washington.
They beat Washington.
They beat Washington.
Yeah.
Washington is not a bad team, but they're not. They're.
And the Ohio State plays Penn State this week. But you know what? Penn State's not the same now. They've lost 3 in a row.
Michigan at the end of the season,
which is always a great game. And Michigan's had their number
last year. Michigan beat them.
Michigan's had their number.
They beat them in the national. I mean,
in the championship, in the Big Ten championship. So Michigan will be a hard game for them, but. Again, SEC championship, we'll see the Georgia and the Alabamas. We'll see all this and Texas A&M unfold. But college football right now is a lot of fun, man. And this week we got Vandy at Texas. Texas seemed to maybe figure it out. When they had a good comeback against Mississippi State, they were getting their doors knocked in. A big punt return switched that game around. We got Georgia at Florida this week in the world's biggest tailgating party. The interim coach for Florida, this is going to be his first big game. It'll be interesting to see what changes he made.
Remind me again who the head coach is.
The head coach was Napier, and they fired him.
I know, but did they promote?
They promoted from within. And this will be his first big game. So it'll be interesting to see what changes he's made and how the players react to him. Then you got Oklahoma at Tennessee. Tennessee can score with the best of them. I still don't trust their quarterback to not throw one or two big interceptions. We saw it against Alabama on the pick six at the end of the first half. And then you've got Cincy and Utah, two teams that are kind of underneath the radar, both ranked in the top 20 and both playing very well. So Utah just beat the doors off of Deion Sanders and Colorado Buffaloes, who aren't very good. But we've got some good games this weekend that I'm looking forward to. And before we leave today, I want to talk a little bit about the Charlotte Hornets because, we spend a lot of our time talking football.
The team we didn't mention in that really quick, we didn't mention Ole Miss in there. Can Ole Miss beat those teams with what Kiffin has developing there? We saw
they're going to score.
Game.
I mean, they lost to Georgia in a very close game at Georgia. So I think on any given day, I think they're in there. But again, we're going to find a lot out. And the SEC, you have a tough, South Carolina goes to Ole Miss this weekend, right?
South Carolina should have beat Alabama.
They should have beat Alabama. And so
they had them 8 with 2 minutes to go and we'll just couldn't finish it off.
We'll see if that same South Carolina team goes to Ole Miss and gives them a game. We'll see if Ole Miss has a little hangover from beating Oklahoma in such a big game. But there's some interesting games this weekend. But I do want to talk about the Hornets real quick because, the Hornets have been a debacle the last however many years. I almost said few years. It's been longer than that. But we were very excited about the 4 players they drafted, 2 in the first, 2 in the second. We're excited about bringing in Colin Sexton in a trade where they basically gave up nothing for the guy, and the guy's a darn good player. They're off to a 2-1 start. They had Philly beat. They missed 8 threes in a row at the last 2 minutes of that game, 3 minutes of that game that they would have won it. But still, Philadelphia's a really good team, and they gave them all they wanted. But Kon Knueppel, who was, the 4th pick in the draft, we both liked him a lot, obviously, because we're Duke fans and we follow Duke. But this kid is so far better than I even thought. He's averaging 15 points a game. He's leading all rookies in 3-pointers made. His 3-point percentage is 58%. He's playing defense. He hustles. He's more than I thought he would be already. And so when a guy like Brandon Miller, who's a great player, but he's hurt all the time, goes down against Philadelphia early, 9 minutes into the game, last year, the Hornets, you go, oh God, who's coming in now? Who from the G League is going to come in for Brandon Miller? Now you got a guy like Knueppel. Now you got a guy like Sion Jones. And I'm not just talking about two Duke players just because we're Duke fans, but he's a second-round pick. Sion James, and he's playing great. And he's one of those do-it-all kind of guys. He's hitting threes. I think he had 3 more last night.
Big NBA body, already probably the most developed.
Hustles. So this Hornet team is different than what we've seen in the past. And if they stay healthy, which Miller's already hurt, but if they can stay relatively healthy, they are going to be a lot of fun to watch. I went to the home opener when they wore New Jersey out, and I had a blast. I think I'm going to go Thursday night when they're playing Orlando, who's one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the league. They play Miami, I think, tomorrow night at Miami, who's off to a 2-1 start. But this Hornet team is so much fun to watch if they can just stay healthy. Last night, LaMelo Ball.
Let me ask you this question because this will tie you into what where you want to talk about LaMelo Ball. Do you have confidence and trust that they have enough star players or the guy that can take them to the playoffs and make a deep run? And I'm speaking specifically of LaMelo. Is he the guy that you count on, you trust, that is going to be able to deliver when the game is on the line in the playoffs?
Well, here's what I'll say to that. Do I think this team, if they're healthy, can make the playoffs with Melo? Absolutely.
No. Make the playoffs and make a deep run or two.
I don't know if they're ready to make the deep run yet. I mean, they're young, man. They are young.
Making the playoffs would be a huge.
Yeah, I think that's their first jump is to get the playoffs. And I think this team certainly can make the playoffs.
What's the last time the Hornets have been in the playoffs?
I think it was when it was 6 years ago, man. It's been a long time. But I do think they can make the playoffs if they stay healthy. Melo last night, 38 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists, 3 steals, 5 3-pointers is the first time in NBA history that a player has had that stat line. And here's what I'll say about Melo. As polarizing as he is, and as many times, and the fact he seems to play 2 games and then sit 5 games, and this seems to be a different Melo. And we heard the team say it this offseason. We heard the other players say it on the team, that he worked even harder this offseason. He got in the weight room. He seems to be dedicated. All that sounds great until you see it on the floor. But what I have seen from him so far is a lot less of the playground stuff that he would do, and I've seen a lot more of a leader. And I think that Collin Sexton has a lot to do with that, because Collin Sexton has been in this league for 7 or 8 years. Was top 5 pick, whatever, with Cleveland back in the day. Really good point guard. He can shoot.
You think he's in his ear?
I think that he's.
Come on, young buck.
I think he's a mentor.
Come on, young buck.
And it's also
the fact that Melo was only 18 when he first came
Melo's
in too.
Still very young, and I think also the fact that Sexton, they're playing Melo at 2 guard quite a bit with Sexton at point guard, which I think also lets Melo. He can do a lot more of the things that he's capable of doing, as opposed to running the team. But when he has been running the team, I think he is a lot of the playground stuff that people said, "Oh, you'll never win in the NBA with a point guard playing like he's on the playground." I've seen less of that so far this year. Now, he had a 3-point shot against Philly the other day that was one of the playground shots where he kind of threw it off one leg from deep and missed it. But he also made it 3 or 4. That's just what you get with Melo. But I've seen him be more of a leader, and I've seen him be, I think, more poised so far this year. So anyway, I don't know if anybody has watched the Hornets yet.
It's only been 3 games.
3 games in, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to watch a fun brand of basketball, they follow the same brand the Celtics play. That is play hard defense, shoot a lot of 3-pointers, and they've got a lot of guys that can shoot them on this team. But they've been a lot of fun to watch, and I'm back in. Last year, I told you I didn't go to 1 game for the first time in the history of the franchise because nobody ever played, and it drove me crazy. So I wasn't going to go watch the G League play when Melo was out and Miller was out and everybody's out. If this team stays healthy, they're a lot of fun to watch, and they're going to be a team that a lot of these other teams are not going to want to play, because they're bringing it. Melo's playing defense too, which that's something I didn't think I would ever say. He's playing pretty good defense now too. So the
last time the Hornets have won a playoff series?
Gosh, it's been 20 years, maybe. I don't know.
23 years, 24 years.
I mean, it's
against the Orlando Magic 2001. And they also did it in 2000, right? The back-to-back winning seasons. Since then, they've lost in 2009, 2010 to the Magic, 2013, 2014 to the Heat, and they got swept there. And then they lost in a 7-game series to the Heat in 2015-16. The last time the Hornets have been, that's the last time. So it's been 10 years since they've been to the playoffs.
Charlotte sports has been in a big drought. Now, one other shout out before we go, Charlotte FC.
Same with the Panthers.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Charlotte sports in general, but Charlotte FC, our MLS Major League Soccer team.
Oh my gosh, we're not talking soccer.
Well, I just want to say they're hosting their first they've hosted a playoff game last year. It was the second game of the series. This is the first game of the series tomorrow night. I'm excited. I'm probably going to try to go to the game.
Have you been?
I've been, and it's a blast.
You've been this year?
Yeah. Oh, I've been several times. I love it. And they're fun to watch. The crowd is a melting pot of every community you can think of. They're beating drums, they're singing, they've got, I mean, it's a blast. And they've got their first game tomorrow night of the playoffs against New York FC. Hopefully they can get off to a good start. Like I said, I'm planning on being there. Unless it's raining, then I might watch it on TV. But anyway, we'll be back Friday. We've got, like we said, we've got a good college football slate. Panthers at Green Bay, some other good NFL games this weekend. We'll see.
Game tonight.
We got a big game tonight, Monday Night Football, World Series Game 3 tonight. So this is a great time for sports.
Talk World Series. We'll do that Friday.
We'll talk a little World Series Friday, and hell, it could be over by then. But it's 1-1 now, actually. So Game 3 tonight, and it's a great time to be a sports fan. Yeah, I hope the Blue Jays win, but I don't
Blue
think
Jays. They shot
when your fourth starting pitcher is Ohtani.
Yeah.
That says it all.
I mean, he's been so hot.
I mean, he's just unbelievable.
And I don't mean like in a sexy way. I don't know.
No, he's unbelievable. I mean, I think he's the best player I've ever seen in baseball.
He's who would you compare him to?
Well, that's
OG Babe Ruth?
Yeah, except for he's doing it at a time where people are actually in shape and working out all the time, as opposed to a time where guys it's incredible. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that Friday. It's a great time to be a sports fan. We'll see you Friday. Everybody have a good week. Thanks, Big D, again, as always, for even fixing the little Frank's getting excited, kicking the cameras over. And so we appreciate you, buddy. We'll see y'all Friday.